So I'm going to show you now the photo album that I was given. I'm going to give you a little history about the photo album. So the picture that I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you edited, cropped, really high resolution scans that I've taken. I can't even handle the photograph album anymore because it is 100 years old and the cover is falling off, pictures are falling out. And let me just tell you the history of that. So my father goes to France in 1917, takes these photographs, comes back in 1919, and begins to assemble them in the album. But as you look at the pages, he's got a bunch of his war stuff, and then right next to it is a bunch of his life stuff, and then some more war stuff, and then next to each photograph, white ink on black paper, really detailed information about all of it. Okay, so I don't recall ever seeing this photo album as a kid growing up. Just don't have that memory at all. My brother says he might have seen it once. So the fact that it goes from the pictures get taken. So I got questions about that. Whose camera? Where'd you buy the film? Where do you store it until you use it? Where do you store it after you expose it? Where does it get developed? Where do you send it off to the photomat? How? What? So many questions. As you look at these pictures, you'll see different borders and sizes and formats. How did he have 6 cameras? And I don't, all those questions are amazing to me. So here's what happened. So my father passes away in 1987. And 2 weeks later, my mother hands me the photo album in a manila envelope. Dad wanted you to have it. Open the photo album. Cool, bunch of pictures of people I don't know. Into storage it goes. On with my life. Married, raise a kid, start businesses, separate in 2011, and I'm in a clinic in the waiting room, and I pick up a magazine, and I see the last person that has passed away that was a survivor of World War I was Frank Buckles. So I go back home and dig up the photo album and discover, sure enough, these are pictures of World War I. So that began my 10-year odyssey. So carefully took the photo album apart, and I actually filmed that process. Okay, took the pages one by one, scanned them, and got really nice high-res images of each page. Carefully reassembled the photo album. Didn't want to handle it too much. And in 2017, I suffered a house fire. I lost everything I own. The photo album typically would have been one of my prized possessions, and I would want to have seen it, and it would have been out on the dresser or in plain view. For some reason, I took that photo album and I stuck it inside a clear plastic tub, and I placed my 3 high school yearbooks on top of it. Don't ask me why. So when the fire happened, my bedroom where all my stuff was absolutely destroyed, and I will show you a picture of that also. So when the fireman went into my room, there's the photo album with the yearbooks pressing it down, basically preserved it. So literally I took it out. I had to immediately take as many pictures as I could. I took and spread it all out. All the pictures were curling. So the scans that I had done, I saved them to a USB and SD cards. They were inside a plastic container, a dark plastic tube, zippered, like a sunglass holder with a zipper around the edge. And I spent a week going back through my burnt out room, trying to find my backed up books and photos. Couldn't find them. The last day I was in there, I said, I gotta go. I can't do this anymore emotionally. And as I was kneeling down, I put my hand on the floor to push off. My hand naturally wrapped around, because we're talking 1.5 foot of burnt stuff, your life, right? I put my hand down, it wraps around a round object. I pick it up. It's the burnt holder with my SD and USB cards. Everything was saved. So we're going to run through some pictures now. I'm going to just give you a little rundown here of what you're seeing. So this first one is a postcard that he sent to his girlfriend, Avis Wisner. And it says, "Dear Avis, Here is a picture of a pack of Company C just after receiving their first shots. Notice marks on some of the boys' arms. Looks like blood, but nope, only iodine. And then he signs it Earl, and it says June 19th, 1917. And then on the front there, he wrote also June 19th, 1917. As I began to look at these photographs in the photo album, my dad must have looked at these many times over his life, and he was adding dates. The date somebody died, he would write it next to a picture, or he would write the same date in a different pen on a different part of the picture. Who knows why? He was very, very detailed that way. So on the front, you can see my father is front row center. There's a guy in the very front with his leg crossed underneath his bent leg. Right behind his left shoulder is my father. Really white shirt, big smile on his face. He's got a hat on. On the far left, you'll see a gentleman with a white t-shirt and a white hat. Hat's kind of pulled back to expose his forehead. That gentleman's got a few years on him. He's no young spring chicken. You'll see if you look closely that there are a few spots on arms that are exposed, and that is the iodine. And then you can see there's a couple of tents in the back. I mean, this was like camping, huh? Think about what we have now for our troops, you know, air-conditioned barracks, top-of-the-line uniforms, hot meals, hot showers, transportation, top-of-the-line training, support, medical. Anyway, this next picture is very faded. He just labels it the Squad. Company D, 18th Engineers. I don't know if my dad is in those pictures. If he's taken the picture, you can see the shadows of other troops standing off to the right behind him. Just a photograph that you really can't make out. You can see in the back lots of tents, and we'll see more of those. And then this next one is a clearer picture of the Squad. Company D, Squad number 1, Company D of the 18 Engineers. And I want to say that my father is the third from the left there, but I can't be sure. So, anyway. And this next photograph, this is a really, really good one. It says, "When do we eat?" Company D, ready for eats. So you'll see that he writes on the photograph, and then he writes on the actual page of the photo album basically the same thing. And that's just the way it was. You'll notice the tents. You'll notice the tents in the background. You'll notice the poles with the lighting, electricity. They all have their mess kits in their hands. And some of them are in civilian clothing, and some of them are in a basic uniform. It's very interesting.